Buying a plot can be easy or maybe a tedious task sometimes, especially when you have so many real estate companies, agents, landowners, and even sometimes so-called landlords all calling to buy their properties. Getting the land is the easiest part, but owning the land with genuine documentation is the problem. We have seen unprecedented court cases of people going to court to settle land issues. If you're looking to buy a plot or a built home with no risk of stress, guys, look for the right real estate company. At EJ Investments, we don't just sell plots, we build communities, where any plot you buy from us comes with access to water, electricity, internal roads, and other social amenities. We guarantee you genuine contract documentations the moment you pay a deposit and a complete handover of your title deeds as soon as completing payment. We currently operate 3 projects in strategic locations, selling service plots and built homes in our estate 2 Jering Seafront, Sanyang Seaview Estate, and our Gunjur Sifo Coastal Highway Estate. Our plots are affordable. From only $90,000, you can own a home at our Gunjur Sifo Coastal Highway Estate. And from $200,000, you can own a home of your dream at our Sanyang Seaview and Lakeview Estate. Our 2 Jering Seafront Estate starts from $300,000. Plot sizes ranges from 20 by 20, 20 by 25, and 25 by 25. And we offer an option of 30% deposit and 2-year payment plans on all our estates. A beautiful home with peaceful and happy neighborhood awaits you at our project 2 Jering Seafront Estate, Sanyang Seaview and Lakeview Estate and Gunjur Sifo Coastal Highway Estate. Call our office on 4464-838 or 302-1056, which is also on WhatsApp. Email us or visit our website on ejinvestments.net to learn more about our projects. EJ Investments, we're fast in property.
I believe that we are all men and women of integrity. That's why we are called honorables. There's nothing personal in this. I even stated it last time. I really acknowledge the minister for his diligence. I've seen him, he's very hardworking. But what is brought before us, definitely, for me, my conscience does not permit me to support this motion. Whatever the consequences for us, even for going our salaries, lessons have to be learned, and those responsible should really be sanctioned if need be. I don't need to say much. I just want to say that I, for my part, I am rejecting the motion. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Member for Nyamina East. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. First, let me say big thanks to the committee that was given the mandate to go over the build and see what actually could be done. And now here it is, they have reported to us. Of course, they have did a lot. But I am not really actually, Honorable Speaker, satisfied. In fact, the report that is given by the committee, because the report lacks what we call details. You will observe, Honorable Speaker, when the chairperson of the committee was even reporting, the vice chair, when he was even reporting, he actually find it very difficult to make that comparison. I believe at first in their report, what could have been done, every line item that is deducted, we actually need to know how much actually is deducted there and is from which line item. I will give you a sample for people to better understand what I am talking about. Now, if you look at Ministry of Foreign Affairs, let's use that as a sample. You will realize Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, for instance, where we have contribution to IDPE. There the budget line is allocated. We have shortfall in subvention, November and December. GPPC, printing expenses areas. Now, in their report, if you look at this, where we have Ministry of Finance, you will observe, Honorable Speaker, we have only one amount that is actually deducted. But the committee, they are not telling us the amount that is already deducted is coming from which line item. Yes, we know this is the amount that they have deducted from that very ministry. But we don't actually know is from which budget line under that ministry. So the budget here, the report here actually lacks what you call details. Because for layman to understand this, just read and clearly understood this. The comparison, you don't need the two documents in order to make that comparison. All that you need at the first place is have all the items listed, every item, the amount that was initially located, have that amount stipulated, then the amount that is deducted from that budget line, let it also be allocated along the line. This is what I was expecting that the committee will do. But for you to compare it, you need all the two documents in order to make that comparison. So the committee, I think that is something that actually you have to take note of. Honorable Minister, I'm coming back to you. Yes, you have section 153, section 154.
Sorry, Honorable, with all due respect, what is before the floor is you can make your observations on the report as tabled.
Exactly, that's why
Yes, but you're saying now that you are now coming back.
Yes, in terms of this, he is the one who brought this here.
No.
Hello, point of observation.
I can address the minister through you. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Honorable Speaker,
I mean, honorable members did not even have the opportunity to debate on the estimates as it was presented at the time, because it was referred to the committee. So maybe you can see how you can do it. But the address is not to the honorable minister.
I have no problem with that, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much. To go further, Honorable Speaker, the bill that is before us, we observe that we have, of course, line items or budget items that we call salary and allowances, which actually, to my understanding, the National Assembly does not actually have power to change or amend those budget lines. Of course, I agree. But the last 2018 budget, it was clearly stipulated all ministries, their salary and allowances was fully allocated. So if there should be any environment, I don't think whether you should take someone's salary and buy it, for instance, somewhere else. To the extent of you have to bring a supplementary budget in order to pay that individual salary or allowances. Those things, I think, it is something that should be constant because it was fully stipulated and allocated in the last year budget. So I see no reason why some of these budget lines called salary and allowances should appear in this bill or this appropriation. That I am not satisfied with. So I am in support. I am in support that considering this, the Constitution, of course, empowers the minister to come up with what you call the appropriation bill at any time. Because if I understood, there is no specific period given that whether it should be within this time of the year and the other time of the year. All that we know is the minister at any moment within the fiscal year has the power to come up with something, what you call the appropriation bill, supplementary appropriation bill. But now, the time, we have just 2 weeks to go in order to end the fiscal year. So the minister actually is not telling me all this money that is mentioned, all this money that are mentioned here will be spent just within these 2 weeks. That doesn't satisfy my mind. And having that understanding in me, I cannot actually concur, Honorable Speaker, with this. In any way, I cannot concur with this. And there is already a motion on the ground. And I think there is need for ruling on that motion. We see what could be done. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. There are interventions, not motions. Honorable Member for Bintang Karanlai. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, may I first thank the FPAC. They've given me a tax, and I've done it. Now it's left to the preliminary to decide, and we are here to decide today. I think the FPAC report, I think for me, they should have justified some of the spending they have brought to us. For example, you said the President's office should spend, in the appropriation bill is 60 million, and they registered 29 million. What justifications should they give to us so that we can know that this 29 is justifiable for the minister to spend? That is not spelled out here. Because if we say 60 million and now we register 20, for what? We don't know. So I think in that line, maybe, I think this next time they have to justify that. But, okay, going back to the appropriation bill itself, according to the minister's speech here, he has made some justification on why this bill was brought to us here. Some of these justifications first were the demand for teachers and nurses, shortage of medicine at the hospital, and rise in fuel price. He said that resulted on the unplanned expenditure. To me, this is not realistic for the government to spend on this, because the government knows that actually there is salaries and there is approved budget for 2019, 2018. Why do they go and spend this on this thing he said? And he first went and said that his personal emoluments. Thirdly, he said establishment of new agencies. What? And secondly, he said establishment of agencies, that's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Commission of Inquiry. Madam Speaker, these inquiries, everybody knows that since the inception of the new government, that the coalition government, they are talking of these inquiries. They know that it is coming, and they know that they will form. Why is it not in the 28 budget or 2019 budget? We are 2 weeks to go to 2019, and the estimates for the 2019 is yet to be approved by this Parliament. And you know, the year 2019 is always 2 weeks. Why didn't they not put it in the 2019 budget for us to approve it and they start spending? We are yet to approve that, and we bring a supplementary bill again. Can this not be in that bill? 2019, because it's only 2 weeks to go. So I don't think that is justifiable. The reasons the minister gave here, I think, to me, it's not justifiable. And Madam Speaker, not to waste much time, I totally against this appropriation bill. I'm totally against this. I'm not a honorable speaker. Let us all know, honorable members, that we are here for the government people. They voted, they have trust and confidence on us and voted in us to come and speak for them here. And today is the day the Gambian people will determine what parliament they have. Let us know that. Today the Gambian people will determine and will know what parliament they have. We took the Quran and oath that we swear to the Quran that we will defend the interests of the people of the Gambia. Let's defend the interests of the people of the Gambia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I take from this side, Honorable Member for Bundung Kakunda? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank FPAC for the job they did, thoroughly scrutinizing the supplementary estimates that we asked them to do. They did a great job but I think there is much more to be done. That is why, Madam Speaker, I think what I heard from their report, I am very disappointed to hear such. Madam Speaker, according to the report, some of the estimates have been spent. And I don't think any amount of the national or public money should be spent without the approval of this August House, which any appropriation bill should come here for us to consider it. Madam Speaker, I don't think we should set precedent. This has happened, and I don't think we should allow it to happen anymore. We are trying to change the Gambia. We all said a new Gambia. A new Gambia, we mean a better Gambia. We don't mean Gambia where we come from or worst. Therefore, Madam Speaker, for me, I was expecting this appropriation bill to come much more earlier before now. And to make matters worse, it come after the 2019 estimate. I find it difficult to understand. And I don't think we should allow things to be done on the carpet. Madam Speaker, if you look at this, even what the FPAC have proposed to approve, Madam Speaker, if we do this, this will increase domestic borrowing. And in the budget, we have seen it. Domestic borrowing have increased a lot. And that domestic borrowing, whenever it increases, citizens are affected. Interest rates go higher. And when that happens, it is very difficult for Gambians to borrow money from the banks, for their businesses, for whatever they want to do, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, since that is the case, and if you may allow me, if we go to the Constitution of the Gambia, Section 109C, page 61, which reads, examine the account, that is additional functions of the National Assembly. Examine the account and expenditure of the government and other public bodies funded by the public money and reports of the Auditor General. Madam Speaker, I think I'm proposing the FPAC to go further and invite the authorities to find out more and explain to us why this has happened. And at this time of the year, when it is only 3 weeks to go, why should this thing come now? They cannot tell us that they did not know this. And since at the beginning of the year, we have seen what we have approved was not followed to the letter. And we knew that this problem is coming. And we expect them to come back to us and tell us the realities on the ground. But it seems they were doing things under the carpet. This is public fund. It should not be. It should be brought here. Whatever the case, whatever it is there. I'm even skeptical why, in fact, this thing is being brought after the 2019 estimates are laid. Madam Speaker, my concerns will not allow me, if I am counted on honorable members who approve this SAP. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I reject the whole SAP in its totality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Upper Nyomi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. My intervention will be very short and precise. Madam Speaker, if you could remember, and honorable members, when he came in here in 2017, the former Minister of Finance brought a bill here for us to reduce the 2017 budget, and which we did. And there was no complaint at the end. In 2017 rather, we approved the 2018 estimate budget. And also, well, I was not anticipating any complaint of this nature. Why now are we receiving this supplementary appropriation estimate? For me, Madam Speaker, as far as I'm concerned, we are representing people, and our people are not happy with this. My people are not happy. Gambians are not happy. And as far as we are representing Gambians, and we are speaking on their behalf, we are also not happy. On that, I'm giving my total rejection to this supplementary appropriation estimate in totality. On that note, Madam Speaker, I thank you very much for giving me the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Jara East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, it must be noted that this August Assembly is guided by two fundamental instruments. That is the Constitution and the Standing Order. And as a result, all citizens are supposed to be married to the law, but more so for National Assembly members. I think our marriage is supposed to be a marriage of convenience with regards to the law. We are supposed to be comparable bedfellows. And what that means, Madam Speaker, is that all our actions and reactions must be within the permissive contours of the law and not outside the permissive contours. Because history has long arms and justice has long arms. So we cannot escape the long arms of justice as well as the long arms of history. For we must be recorded, either on the positive side or the opposite. So the choice is ours. This Gambia of ours, the ball is in our court, either to make it or break it. But I believe fervently, as honorable members, you will choose the former as opposed to the latter. That is, we are going to make it, and make it for the betterment of us all, and even generations yet to come. Madam Speaker, every activity of human beings is subjected to two fundamental elements. That is approach and timing. Yes, the approach might be okay, but the timing has a problem. We are at the tail end of the year, So the timing, I can say, is ill-timed, and that's my detached opinion. Madam Speaker, yesterday night, I read this estimates, time without number, but I was unable to digest it. I tried several times, but to no avail, simply because the supreme law of the land is not speaking the same language with what we have before us. It does not require much intelligence when one reads Section 153. You'll understand that whether it's in order for us to, give our blessing. Yet still, the choice is ours. History is still around with its indelible pen or ink, and there is no way we can escape the long arms of history. So I think it will be okay for us to be recorded in a more positive light in terms of history. Madam Speaker, without much ado, I wish to indicate my stance in no uncertain terms. For I know when you are a prisoner of conscience, it is very difficult to divorce yourself from the negative thoughts of being a prisoner of conscience. And as a new Gambia, we should not afford to be prisoners in our own skin. We should advocate for enlargement of rights, enlargement of democracy, as opposed to the opposite. Yes, as a country, we emerge from a difficult past, and we must not forget that. And I hope this great assembly is not oblivious of the Gambia's comatose economy, our economy that we inherited. We all know it. So, Madam Speaker, without much ado, I am dictated by my conscience, and my conscience is telling me to say a big no. Thank you.
Very much. Honorable Member for Fonyi Kansala. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me begin by recognizing the efforts made in trying to review the supplementary appropriation estimates that was brought to us on Tuesday by the Honorable Minister. And the relevant committee, which is FPAC, really did a diligent job, because whatever they do, they were doing it in the interest of us, the entire parliamentarians. They've submitted what they were able to do. It's now for us to review it and take it further. And like I said earlier on, I think they did justice to the document, because it was given to them on Tuesday. They went over it. We were expecting the submission yesterday, which couldn't happen, because they still need to do additional scrutiny on the document, until finally here it is before us. Madam Speaker, I make reference to the Ministry of Defense, where you have basic salaries and allowances. Because if this have to come from a supplementary estimate, I begin to wonder, is it really, or is the 2019, is the 2019 estimates of revenue and expenditure, which is advocating for 50% salary increment across the board, where we are now having a challenge in meeting up the basic salaries and allowances of 2018, is it actually an estimate of revenue and expenditure that one can be confident enough to say it can cater for all what is budgeted? I vividly remember here when the 2018 budget was presented before us. The then finance minister, I challenged him with regards to opening of new embassies. And like the honorable member for Banjul North rightly mentioned, school fees, 12 million Gambian dollars on school fees. And again, another worrying factor is the time that these supplementary estimates have been presented to us. Are the government accounts not closed? Are they still operational? Just 2 weeks to the end of the fiscal year? I believe those who spoke before me have definitely given justice to what is before us. And that is to say, even if it will cost us as National Assembly members not to be paid salary for the month of December, I am totally in support of rejecting whatever is here before us in totality. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Upper Salum.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And thank you very much, Vice Chair, for the report that you presented to this plenary, of which I'm a member of the committee. Honorable Speaker, I think it's essential that we use our conscience in dealing with issues like this, because this is an issue of national interest. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the Constitution, or you look at the Public Finance Act of 2014, when it talks about the budget, it talks about estimate. And in plain, simple English, when you talk about an estimate, which means basically you are not sure of the figure you'll be dealing with, either in revenue or in expenditure. You are not really too sure. And that's why it's called an estimate. When you estimate, when you put an estimate in terms of revenue, or you put an estimate in terms of expenditure, which means you are just actually thinking, maybe I will get this, and I'm going to spend it this way. It's just an estimate. Now, what could happen is two things. You will either get it right on your revenue, which means you are 100%, or you can underestimate, or you can actually overestimate in any revenue line, be it government, private, or individual. Now, when you go into look at the budget, the first thing we did, actually as a committee, we look at the things that are statutory, and we look at things that are also essential. That's how we look at when we met as a committee. Statutory means like personal emoluments, like salaries that we pay to the people that are working for the government of the Gambia. And we came out with this report based on our own opinion, based on the consultations that we have with the minister, based on the consultation we have among ourselves, and based on the consultation we have with other external parties. I could call it stakeholders. That's exactly what we did. To ensure that we'll come back to report to you in our honest opinion, using our own conscience. That's exactly what we did. Honorable Speaker, I think it's also essential to differentiate two things. This National Assembly, since inception, 2017, we have never created an act of parliament to create a contingency fund. A contingency fund basically is an amount of money that is put aside that can be used for emergencies of the government. But 2017 and 2018, unless I'm unaware, but we have never created a contingency fund that can be used, the section 154 is talking about. We have not created a contingency fund. Essentially, all expenditure of government must be brought to the National Assembly. We have the final say in approving or in disapproving. We have the final say, no matter what. When you look at the Public Finance Act of 2014, Section 29, it talks about environment. The same section, subsection 8, talks about personal emoluments, which means you cannot do environment in personal emoluments. You cannot. It's illegal, and we have confirmed that that was not done. What that means is the budget line that we approve for the Gambian government for 2018, they have not touched personal emoluments through environment. That was not done. We've made consultations. The only thing why we have a shortfall in those budget line items, the only way is because of we under-budgeted for those items. That's the only way. Because environment was not allowed to move funds from personal emoluments to any other budget line item. That was illegal, and we have confirmed that was not done. So what that means tells us actually is those line items under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, under the embassies about allowances and other areas, what that means is the kind of money we approve here at the National Assembly for 2018 wasn't enough. The ministry under-budgeted for. When there is under-budget, what actually do you do? And government needs to spend. What do you do? And that gives rise to supplementary appropriation bill. That's what we are discussing here. Honorable Speaker, I think it's an obligation for the government. Whenever you employ, you agree you have terms and conditions. This is what I'm going to pay you in terms of salary. This I'm going to pay you in terms of allowances. This is what I'm going to pay you in terms of other additional expenditure on your family, especially those that are outside this country. There are contracts that the government actually has. So, and that's the reason why I'm saying we need to use our conscience and critically look at those particular issues. For me personally, and I think it's a general concern, the timing of this bill is a general concern. We are also agreed that also the amount of the money the minister is requesting for is also, it looks like it's generally accepted that the amount was huge. So those two areas, in terms of timing, in terms of amount, is unquestionable. But I want us to take our time to closely look at the contents, specifically allowances and salaries that belong to the people that are employed by Gambia government. Honorable Speaker, in as much as I can forgo my salary for this month or even next month, but let's look at the other average Gambians, whether they were able to do the same thing. And I would also urge, and I will also ask my honorable colleagues for us to take a look critically again, to look at those salaries and allowances that actually are owed to the people, to the civil servant of this country. Let's critically look at those areas. Honorable Speaker, also, if I look at the Minister of the Interior, for example, the Minister is also telling us that in terms of police operations, and you all have said here, and I think one of my members actually did comment about some of the operations that have been done by the police, which I can testify because I've seen they're going around at night and even during the day in my area, just to ensure that these drug peddlers, these people that are actually snatching posts, etc., you name it, they're going after them day and night. But they are telling us also that the fuel for the police operations isn't enough. Let's also remember that by the time we approve the 2019 budget, we go into 2019, before the warrant is out from the ministry, it may take about another 2 weeks. So if the police operation tells me now that my money is almost finished, for police operations, I do not have fuel. Honorable Speaker, I think it's essential that we also sit and then also analyze that particular area. Honorable Speaker, the police officers we have that are responsible for the internal security of this nation, the food and the food service that we give them, because some of them, when they go on duty, sometimes 10 hours, 12 hours, etc., they are there. It's the responsibility of the government to feed them. But we have also realized through consultations, again, with relevant stakeholders, we have realized that the money that is left in what we appropriated for is not enough to cater for them for the next 2 weeks of the year, as well as perhaps a potential 2 weeks in January. I think it's essential we take a look at those areas as well. Honorable Speaker, I think it's essential we differentiate certain things in here, because it was this same Parliament that gave up, or that recommended. In fact, I think we recommended to the President. In fact, some people said that we are asking him to create a commission, the Faraba Banta incident. I was one of those that said the president must have a commission of inquiry. Those commissioners, they got to be paid. See, no one expected, or no one actually, we had any foreseen idea that what actually happened in Faraba, and I hope it never happened in our country again. There was nobody who had a slightest idea that we're going to go into such. And I pray that we never have any kind of experience like what we had in Faraba Banta. But again, this is the war. Things happen. But when things happen, it's ourselves that we should get up and then see what can we do together as a nation to prevent that this doesn't happen again. And in doing so, here, this parliament here, unanimously, we agree that the president must have a commission of inquiry into the Faraba Banta incident. And those commissioners got to be paid. Did we budget for that? No, we did not. Where will the minister get the money to pay for them? We even asked the Minister of Justice when he came in some of the other commissions that were created. We even asked, where are you going to get this money from? So what his response was, I will go back to the Minister of Finance, because it's his responsibility to go look for the funds and the pay. But where he doesn't have those funds, because we did not approve of that, he would have to come back into here to ask for supplementary appropriation so that he can pay for those kind of expenditures. Honorable Speaker, I think it's also important to note that when we're dealing with certain offices, for example, the office of the president, for example, we are not dealing with the president per se as a person, but there are certain offices that are under the office of the president and they got to be paid. The office of the vice president is there. The state intelligence services are there. They're there. And these are civil servants actually because we have to pay them. So when the minister comes and says that the subvention that we give to these people is not enough now. And remember, we had reinstatements, not even in the army, in the police, and in certain sectors. And those ones, we had reinstatements. Because some of them, well, it was confirmed they were wrongfully dismissed. And what happens? We have to abide by laws. If somebody is wrongfully dismissed, whether you are in the private sector or in the government sector, there are certain procedures that you have to actually follow. So when that party is reinstated, what happens to the salary? Did we approve of that salary in the 2018? No, we did not. Where is the money going to come from? It's the responsibility of the minister to go look for that money. And again, I'm appealing for us to really look. Let's dig deep and find solutions, and let's not just jump to a very quick conclusion. Let's go into deep and look. Especially, my only worry is about the personal emoluments, etc., of people that are actually hired or they are under the service of the Gambia government. Let's critically look at those areas. Let's critically look at the security sector of our country. Because the police are responsible for internal security. If they come and tell me now, I do not have fuel to move around, and you know what happens when you call a police station? Oh, we don't have a vehicle. You go and then pay for the taxi. You take a time to, then you take a police officer from the police, then you go around. But the small vehicles that they have right now that they are using, they're saying that we do not have enough money to complete our work. And I think we must not actually play or joke with internal security. Honorable Speaker, to conclude, I would say, in totality, the timing was not right. The amounts are huge. And that's the reason why we went back and then talked with our stakeholders, consulted with the minister, consulted with other parties, and then we came with a conclusion that we can do better. Even though the timing is not correct, but we can do something. Because we are not really dealing with a death and life situation, but we must also use our conscience to understand that we have our fellow Gambians that needs to be paid their allowances. I can assure you, we are yet to be paid. Our December salaries, have we been paid? No, we are not paid yet. But they're saying that the monies that we approve right now as we speak, in the system, if they have to pay us what they're supposed to pay us, there will be a shortfall of 120,000. That's what they're telling us exactly. If you want to forget that, I don't have a problem with it. Even if you want to forget our January salary, I do not have a problem with that. But let's ensure that we are all not the same people. Our commitments at the family level are not the same. And likewise, the commitment of other Gambians that work for Gambia government, they are not the same. So let's think, let's use our conscience, and let's ensure we dig deep to understand what this is all about. And I want to thank all honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. May I call on Honorable Member for Jimara?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. My intervention will be very short, Madam Speaker. I have a doubt. That is, I don't know why the Honorable Minister brought this supplementary bill to Parliament after spending almost the whole amount you brought here. I think it's too late. Madam Speaker, when you go outside of the building, you see Gambian youths. They are standing outside.
Can we
yes, it's the same thing,
restrict
Madam.
ourselves to the four corners of the National Assembly, please?
Yes, they are here because of this supplementary bill. And as I said, I think it's too late. Yes, it's too late for them to bring this thing here. I am not in support of this so-called supplementary bill. And I'm urging all the honorable members not to support it. We are here, we're representing the Gambian people. We are not here to represent the president or whosoever. So I am not in support of it.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Janjambure.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. First of all, I want to tell the FPAC committee our appreciation. This estimate was given to them and they worked on it for only 2 days, I think. And we cannot expect a perfect job like we are saying. Nonetheless, like Honorable Funyamina was saying, one would have expected to see one table where it is specified, this is the amount requested, this is the amount we approve, this is the amount rejected. But now you have to go through different pages to see where these sums are. I just want to concur with Honorable Mumbo. I want us to look at this critically. The amount the FPAC is approving is basically for salaries. Salaries for who? Our electorates. People who voted for us. If they are not paid salary at the end of the month, what is going to happen? It's going to be a total different thing again. I would have, if salaries were not included, only allowances, I would have totally rejected it. But I want to go by what the finance FPAC recommended, that we approve the 45% they have approved. And everybody is talking. And if you want to listen to outsiders, you would never do your job properly. Yes, there are mistakes that had happened, but we are also part of the mistake. Because we could have rejected the commission, the Jana Commission. The bill came here, and we approved it. We approved it. The CRC and all those commissions, we approved them here. And we never asked where the payments were going to come from. I can understand for traveling, for other essential expenses that are rejected by the FPAC committee. I totally 100% agree with them on that. But anything that goes for salaries particularly, I agree with them. So, in effect, I agree with the report from the FPAC committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Upper Fuladu. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, honorable members, especially the FPAC committee for your report. I just want to say at this juncture that I am definitely in rejection of these estimates, simply because the law is not followed. Whatever the justifications as alluded to by my honorable friend from Upper Salem, this can be allowed if at all we are working within the confines of the law. Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. We are all aware of our duties and functions as National Assembly members, as indicated in the section, in section 112 of the Constitution. But that same Constitution gives us the dictates of how to go about doing things as far as we are concerned as elected people. So estimates are made and approved. And once approved, that is the ceiling to how far you can go. But in that same estimates, as alluded to by my honorable friend from Upper Salem, we have put in that estimate centralized services with $1 billion and $60 million, just in case of emergencies. So therefore, there are funds for emergencies. But what is emergency in this case? $29 million on a private jet in New York is not an emergency for me. So that money spent there shouldn't be spent. I have looked at all the breakdowns. There's no CRC in here. And we were told when we are approving the CRC and the TRRC that these are going to be funded by our development partners. That we will approve this budget, these commissions, but the government will go out to seek funding from our development partners, the EU, the UN, DPO, whoever it was. So we didn't have any money as a country to say that we will fund these things in 2018. Contingency funds, as the honorable member again mentioned, is allowed if we have given the president the approval, but only up to 1% of the budget. But this 1.2 billion do represent 6%, which is way beyond what is acceptable. Coming to looking at, we should ask ourselves, why are we even here in the first place, talking about this SAP? We should ask ourselves, that's the fundamental question, why are we here? And the answer is simple. We have failed. When we came here in 2017, we revised a budget because we cannot keep on spending the way we were spending. And we cut our deficit from 4.7 billion to about 500 million or something like that, if I can remember. 921. Because we cannot go on spending the way we are spending. We are a broke nation. So if we are in line with those reform programs, we should keep in that reform programs because this is a transitional government. Not a government here to pursue with development, infrastructural developments that we cannot afford. That's political. So if that is the case, and our development partners like the IMF, the World Bank, put us on SMP, it's called the Staff Monitored Program. We have failed to meet the targets of that program. That's why we haven't received the $8.2 billion that was supposed to go into the budget support. This is why we are borrowing locally. If we had met those targets, we would have gotten all that $8.2 billion and put it under our budget, and that way we would have no need to put up SAP. And I did ask the question here when the minister put the budget estimates for 2019, that how much of that 8.2 billion was actually received. But my question was not answered. Whether deliberate or not, I don't know why. We have a very important role to play in this new dispensation. And it's not all about coming here and talking about issues, but also to know what the issues really are. Gambia right now is on an extended credit facility with the banks. And we have to meet certain targets there. No? Otherwise, this 9.9 billion that we are expecting to receive in 2019 will not come. And we'll be receiving no more SAPs here. So let's take the precedence, as mentioned by some of the honorable members. Let's say no to SAPs. They are not actually realistic. It means we are giving the government the chance to go and spend just because they go over their budget lines. And the minister did mention this in his report earlier, in section 13, 14, and 15, where he said, let me go to section 15, he said, on the fiscal front, budget execution has improved over the past year compared to previous years, when expansionary fiscal policies led to unsustainable budget overruns. So it means they know the problem. They know that we used to have budget overruns, and they want to stop that problem. So why are we going back to the same problem we already had been trying to address? He said, as of end of 2017, net domestic borrowing was less than $300 million, less than the 1% of GDP target. So it means the government is very aware of the problems we face, but yet again, they're going to spend more money, borrowing more money, like alluded to by the minister, the honorable member from Bunugakunda, depriving the private sector from actually what we need. This highlighted the prudent fiscal measures being implemented in the state to steer the economy. Okay, again, Madam Speaker, just allow me. It went further, in section 16. It says, however, key to the attainment of the NDB, that's the net domestic borrowing target in 2017, was the government's pursuit of a sound macroeconomic stabilization program, which our development partners, notably the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the European Union, and the International Monetary Fund have backed generously with budget support. So here is what I was talking about. These people will not come with budget support if at all we are not meeting the standard, the set targets, we have not agreed with them. So this is where the problem is, why we are where we are today. And I'm telling you this, I am not going to support this estimate or the bill whatsoever. If that means we go to a lockdown, so be it, but I don't think that's in fact the case. We will get our salaries this month, end of this month. The salaries are already posted, I can tell you that much. But the problem is, they want to scare us to agree to something that's actually not the case. The government should learn that we are a transitional government, and we will stick by those transitional measures until the end. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Can I call on any honorable member to move a motion that we sit beyond 1 o'clock? Yes, Combo East. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move that this assembly sit beyond 1 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, Lower Salum.
Thank you. I rise to second the motion.
Thank you very much. It has been moved and seconded that this National Assembly do sit beyond 1 o'clock. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Continue sitting beyond 1 o'clock. May I call on the honorable member for Birkama North? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Since we did not have the opportunity to debate on the supplementary estimate bill that was presented by the Honorable Minister, I would definitely like to do justice myself to partly deliberate on that and then to the submission of the FPAC committee. In the appropriation 2018 estimate, supplementary estimate, the introductory part, the minister indicated the fiscal deficit is expected to be around 3% of the GDP by the end of December, including the proposed 2018 estimate, provided we receive the anticipated budget support from the EU. That the performance is not by any measure a mean of performance due to some avoidable macro-financial challenges in the course of implementation. That the government of the Gambia had to respond to outbreak of the food and mouth disease, the demands for the teachers and nurses, shortage of medicine at the hospitals, and rising fuel prices, which resulted to expansionary fiscal pressure and warranting accommodation for unplanned expenditure in the course of 2018 fiscal year. Despite these challenges development, the macro-fiscal fundamental remains strong. However, certain key fiscal pressure areas require attention in order to maintain the strength and are highlighted. On personal enrollment, establishment of new agencies, contribution to international organizations, the foreign policy, transfers and subsidies, and that the financing of this supplementary expenditure will be through domestic borrowing. When, as earlier on alluded by Honorable Member for Bunuga Kunda, that our domestic borrowing is in the increase. Madam Speaker, having looked at this and the members decided to refer this estimate, supplementary estimate, to the FPAC committee, and the FPAC committee also submitted. And in this submission, they indicated that, furthermore, the Honorable Minister clarified to the committee that expenditure disbursed by this ministry were done through environments within the approved budget. According to them, the environment resulted to shortfalls in some budget line. However, the Minister further indicated that most of the estimates in the supplementary appropriation estimate cover salaries and allowances of ministries mentioned in the estimate for the month of December. Madam Speaker, Honorable Member for Upper Salem tried to put concern on the areas of salaries and allowances, as well as security. If you look at the reasons advanced by the minister that is contained in the submission of FPAC, if one has to relate that to the parent submission by the minister, the aspects that have been added has no point to be justified, even whereas it has been observed by the FPAC. But the minister's reasons is not holding water on the basis of submitting this estimate or supplementary estimate. Where, yes, FPAC has excluded, where it mentioned of the President's travel to United Nations, the VP's travel to AU, and the GPDC bill for ferrying people during the impasse. The minister comprehensively is trying to base his agreement on the basis of allowances and salaries, but these are things that are already spent. If one has to say that you need this just for December. The Honorable Member for Upper Salem did say he has a problem with the timing. It is the timing that actually unjustified the submission of this supplementary bid at this juncture. I consider the submission to be a litmus test to this National Assembly in relation to the particular timing that the Honorable Member for Upper Salem is concerned about. Yes, we approve commissions. Commissions were submitted by the relevant ministries who have the clear understanding that when the commissions are set, the commissioners are obliged to be paid. One would have expected at that juncture that any responsible ministry would have the foresight that if we need to have this at this time, we must have the financial means to finance it. At that very moment or later, we will have expected supplementary estimate to be laid before the National Assembly for consideration. That did not happen almost 6 months ago. If that did not happen until now, one has to use that as reason for trying to advance that we need to consider this. I think the purpose will be defeated. We have barely 2 weeks to go. If salaries and allowances are what, or security operations are what we are worried and concerned about, it will have been better the ministry tried to include that in the 2019 estimate. An estimate is an estimate, but the ministry can project and conclude that this estimate can take me up to the end of the year or otherwise. And if that is the case, then they would have considered the need to timely request for a supplementary. But to come up to 2 weeks before the end of the year, I'm not seeing it as financially very responsible. And what we need to instill in our system is a great deal of financial responsibleness, a great deal of financial discipline. That is highly needed. This current regime, we consider it to be a transitional government, and transition on the basis more to do on reformations. As Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintan did indicate, then therefore that government will be very mindful on all reform agenda. And its budget should be very attractive to all the reform agenda. We would have expected 2018 to have that kind of reform friendliness to our budget. But if we should come up to this tail end, we want to bring that it is defeating the purpose that we stand for in order to bring this change. If the change comes, this is what we intend to do to have our reforms. Madam Speaker, I must commend the FPAC and the ministry. Yes, the ministry was trying to manage up to barely 2 weeks to go. I will still encourage them to keep managing with the 2 weeks. The ministry is in position to manage the 2 weeks and let the sleeping dog to lie. We have no problem adopting any supplementary bill. Our problem is the timing. It would have been very good. You bring this 3 months ago, 5 months ago, so that we try to avoid any unfortunate situation. But if you want to wait until 2 weeks and we want to accept that, that is going to set precedents. As I said, I think this bill is trying to test the National Assembly, but we are on the firm footing. I must thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Central Badibu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, I could not sleep yesterday night. By looking at the supplementary budget, Madam Speaker, it's an insult to the entire nation.
Honorable Member, with all due respect, let us watch our language. Please, okay. Let's use parliamentary language. We can be very firm, make our points, but let us just exercise decorum, please. Thank you.
I withdraw the word insult. Madam Speaker, by looking at the items, we said we came from a very hard situation or condition in this country. But do we really feel the past experience that we had in this country? We talk of the past government, how they were managing our resources. We are seeing the same system coming up again. That's why I said I'm threatened. That's why I could not sleep yesterday. Life after Jones. Let's go back to manor farm and animal farm. When animals were desperate, they didn't have somebody to salvage them. By surprise, they had change. Jones was away. Animals were managing their own affairs. I'm coming.
No, but you need to come. There are others who want
I'm coming, I'm just coming.
No, please. Can you just...
What I'm saying, I'm analyzing the situation. When we say the situation was not favorable, and we voted for change, and we are seeing our people that contributed to the change are trying to misguide us and mislead us. Madam Speaker, it's really disheartening. We have to reflect back to history so that we know where we are going. It's not something new that is happening. It has been happening.
You see, Honorable Member, I don't like interrupting. If you observe my proceedings, I have always allowed honorable members to make their intervention. But there are certain words like deceit, insults. Really, they're not parliamentary words. That's why I say let us be civil in our interventions.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, then we have a long way to go, ma. All right. Madam Speaker, what I mean here is we have a constitution that guides us. It's our Bible and our Quran. And National Assembly members, members of cabinet, everybody, this is the book that guides us to operate. So what this supplementary bill is telling us that we are not following this. We are not using it as a guide. So I want to tell members that it's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional to approve this because the procedure was unconstitutional. Two, Madam Speaker, the timing, I will not talk about it. I will talk about the unconstitutional part of it. And it's not realistic. And it doesn't go with financial discipline. And we have to code our code according to our size. And Honorable Member of Upper Salon did mention that we should know that it's estimate. I don't think we need to be taught about the term estimate. As parliamentarians, we know the term estimate. I think you need to bring a new vocabulary to us. Madam Speaker, and he said they made a lot of consultation with stakeholders. We don't dispute that fact. FPAC, you have done what you're supposed to do. Nobody is saying that you didn't do what you're supposed to do. We thank you for all your efforts. Now, when we go to the Constitution, concerning about contingencies fund, I want to refer the member of Upper Salon. They said an act of the National Assembly may make provision for the establishment of contingent fund and for authorizing the President to make advances from the fund if he or she is satisfied that there has arisen an unforeseen and urgent need for expenditure for which no other provision exists. We were asking whether this Parliament made an act or not. Before we came, there was a Parliament here. I believe they made an act on this. So, and the other part of it is, we should go further and read. Where any advance is made from the contingency fund, a supplementary estimate shall be presented and a supplementary appropriation bill shall be introduced for the purpose of replacing the amount so advanced within 90 days of the advance being made. This is our concern. All that you're talking of is out of this. It's out of this. Now, the other issue you talk about is Farababanda issue. Now, it's right for us to recommend for establishment of a commission. But if the executive of finance know that they don't have the finance, it's not right for us to force them to establish that when they don't have finance. So that cannot be a justification to what is happening now. And you talk of the other commissions as well. Now, if you look at the current budget, we have allocations. We have allocations for those commissions. And if Faraba could be an area, should be in the 2019 budget as an area. It should be there, yes, because it's already gone. But you cannot bring it to us that and say you want to pay commissioners of Faraba. No, honorable member of Opasal. The other thing that you talk about, you said the police need support for drug peddlers. Do you know how many harassments our drug peddlers are facing? And they are human beings. That's not our case here. The justifications brought by you doesn't go with what we are doing today.
Sorry, as I said again, I don't like interrupting, but the response is not to him. Can we debate the report?
Yes, okay.
And you can bring it in line if you want with what was presented.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You can do that. No.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Coming to one thing that I want to make clear to all of us. Government is not just like a bookshop or a shop where you can go and buy matches or whatever you want to buy, or you can return. No, we must go according to plans. So this is telling us that we don't have a direction, we are not planned. This is what we are experiencing. We need to be planned, we need to be guided by people of conscience, we need to be guided by technocrats. We expect our finance to be people with sound economic background. This is what we expected them. So if FBAC can manage this thing within 2 days, what of a Ministry of Finance? And coming to the report itself, Madam Speaker, pilgrims, Gambia pilgrims, subvention to the subvention institution, Gambian Pilgrims Affairs, GIA. The money spent there, we want to know. We want to know. Pilgrims, we paid for our mothers and our fathers to go to Mecca. So what money did they spend on them? Madam Speaker, coming to GTSC bill during impasse 2016 impasse, you are bringing us that we should try to pay that one. 2016 impasse, 2016 to 2017. That's why Gambian people say they don't need this. Because this document is not limited to the National Assembly alone. It's going viral. So to save our own self and to save the entire nation, we say no to it. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rest my case.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. To work in this National Assembly, we must speak the language of law, national interest, and conscience. Conscience has spoken. National interest has also spoken. We have to apologize to the Finance and Public Accounts Committee for assigning them a responsibility when our minds were already decided. Then why did we ask them to go and scrutinize? Because what we expected is a bargaining exercise. So it is important that next time when our minds are decided, let us not put our committees in the firing line so that we pretend that we are clean and somehow they have something wrong with them. When they would have spoken the same language, probably more decisive if we just looked at the estimates and spoke our minds. So, Finance Public Accounts Committee, I apologize to you. And you've done your work, but many of us were already decided in our thinking, then assign you a responsibility that they should not have assigned you. So your conscience is clear. Essentially, Honorable Speaker, we must understand the spirit of this National Assembly. The functions of the arms of the state have been clearly defined, their independence amply secured, with adequate checks and balances to ensure that they work harmoniously together towards our common good. So when we walk here, we're not indicting anyone. We are speaking conscience, national interest, and the law. Many people are carrying out many functions, even civil servants, and they do things that are against their will. But that is their function. And that's why here, our standing order is very clear. We must not impute motives. Let's speak our minds and speak the mind to amplify the national interest. Let me go to the law, Honorable Speaker. Section 153 is very clear, and it has already been quoted. I don't want to waste the time of the National Assembly to quote it again. But it says that if there is to be a supplementary estimate appropriation bill, it should be brought before us before any expenditure is made. That is Section 153. A member has quoted Section 154. That is about contingencies. And people should not be confused in their quotations. I will not cite it, but go to it. You must establish an act of the National Assembly that establishes a contingency fund. And when that contingency fund is established, the sum that is there could be spent. But if you exceed the sum, if you want to exceed the sum, because the law has established the fund, why would you come to the National Assembly again to ask for anything? But if you exceed the fund, if you want to exceed the fund, then you must come back with an estimate and a supplementary appropriation bill. That's what the law says. So it is important for us to understand that any time the government can bring a supplementary estimation, a supplementary estimate or appropriation, there is no time limit to that. If by virtue of the contingency fund is exhausted, then it is the time limit is given for you to bring another estimate and appropriation to get it. And time limit is established for that. And I hope everybody is clear on this issue. And anybody who disagrees with this should give the proper citation to try to show that that is not correct. Honorable Speaker, then we go precisely to what the minister has said. The minister has said that he is bringing this supplementary appropriation, the estimates, and bill on the basis of Section 30 of the Public Finance Act. Honorable Speaker, Section 30 of the Public Finance Act is very clear. It says, where substantial changes in the economic and social conditions require larger expenditures than the original and revised budgets allow, the minister shall submit a supplementary budget to the National Assembly detailing the additional expenditures and sources of their financing. By virtue of that, the minister indicates to us that on the revenue side, they are going to go into domestic borrowing. That is going to be the source of the finance. And in terms of the estimates, he gives us categories. Whilst the preamble talks about prudence in financial management, well, essentially, he told us that this domestic borrowing will clearly increase the indebtedness of the government and increase also in terms of relation to GDP, it will increase it by 3%. We have to be given justification for that to happen. And hopefully when he replies, he will give us that justification. But he went into personal emolument, that this has increased to 203. That's why he is requesting 203 million for transport allowances and the personal emoluments. But we are told that in terms of establishing new agencies, 236 million. Contribution to international organization, 226 million. Transfers and subsidies, 402 million. And what the minister says is that expenditure has already been taken. Of course, that is in violation of Section 153 of the Constitution. But essentially, if the minister has actually retained the dictates of Section 29 of the Public Finance Act, then he would have been in order, because what it says that virement is allowed. From one expenditure items to another in a budgetary agency. You can buy up to 75%. From one budgetary agency, among budgetary agencies within the same ministry, you can also buy up to 50%. Among budgetary agencies, also 50% with the permission of the minister. But if you via, there is no debt. Because what is allocated is what you take to put in another category. Then you will not come with any deficit. So what the minister is telling us is that if there was excess expenditure, that is only called unauthorized expenditure. Unauthorized because members will remember when we were agreeing with the Minister of Justice that we will finance those commissions, not only once but many times. I raised the issue here. Where is the money going to come from? What did some members say? It does not matter. It does matter. Let's not claim to be innocent. It does matter. And this is where we are now. Because what should have been done is to bring the request with a supplementary appropriation request. And this is the lesson, Honorable Speaker, we are learning now, that in the future, we as a National Assembly must not endorse anything brought to us which has financial implication without checking where it is going to come from. Whether it's going to be by virement, then we don't expect anything to come before us again. Or otherwise, they must come up with supplementary appropriation. Honorable Speaker, it is very clear that the Public Finance Act under Section 32 states any unpaid expenditure that is a limitation of authority to spend. That is in the Act. That any unpaid expenditure shall be paid from the appropriation on the next following year. That's what it is saying. So if the ministry has come to a point where it sees that they have exceeded what is expressed. At this time, when the financial has come, the ministry should not have brought this to us and create a suspicious situation. And we cannot determine the legitimacy of many things because we needed to do more work. If you talk about the former GGC, NAWEC, maybe the National Assembly could have assigned the Public Enterprise Committee to call them because former GGC has access to external funding. Why now to government subsidy? So essentially, we would have called them, discussed with them, because what members have said is also conscience. It is not only making a decision on the basis of law, but do we paralyze the operation of institutions which would have generated maybe revenue that will add more to government? We need justification. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2. Because 1 orange and 1 banana does not equal to 2. So essentially, we must look at all the elements. And here it is very clear that, Honorable Speaker, as you say, I cannot just continue. I think I have made the substantial points. Essentially, it is very clear that this National Assembly is confronted with a fundamental decision to make. We cannot continue to encourage financial indiscipline. We must establish a standard. We should tell the minister that we are not unreasonable. If anything is brought here, we serve the national interests that conscience could support, we will support it in the interest of the nation. But when something is brought to us that is clearly in contravention with the Constitution, that is something that is very difficult for me to argue and convince anybody to support. So essentially, Honorable Speaker, I must say that I congratulate our Finance and Public Accounts Committee for doing their work. And I must say, members, my conscience will not be clear. And nobody is pressurizing me. I am simply doing this on the basis of conscience. Nobody on earth, whether outside or inside or social media, can push me to do anything in this National Assembly but what the dictates of conscience, law, and national interest calls me to do. And in that sense, I will ask the minister that since the law says in the next process, they should come up with a supplementary appropriation again, and we review it at that time, have all the time to look at it and see that we do not disadvantage those who lawfully should get their entitlements. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Honorable nominated member, Samusa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor to add my voice, Madam Speaker, to the previous speakers. I'm really delighted today, Madam Speaker, when it comes to this bill, this supplementary appropriation bill. Madam Speaker, this is why we say king. That's the essence of king. People are free at their liberty, Madam Speaker, without fear or favor. Section 90, that's why these are the reasons that's why we remove it from the Constitution, so that the members here will not have any fear of whatever they are saying. Their hands are not tied up. It's a compliment to the king. I'm saying this because it's part of the foundation I'm laying. The whole country, or I would say the whole nation, any who has the privilege to go through this, the satellite line, you will see what is happening here today, Madam Speaker. And it's demonstrating, we are demonstrating to the whole world that Gambia is going in accordance with the democracy. Madam Speaker, this morning, I saw a group of people around the arch. I saw the paramilitary hanging around here. Yes. I'm coming, Madam Speaker. I'm laying the foundation.
No, I know you're coming, but Honorable, you were here when I interrupted the Honorable member
But I'm not using any foul language. What I'm saying,
it's not foul. If you don't listen to me, you will not know. Don't preempt me also. Earlier on, I actually cautioned the Honorable member for Central Badibu for us to restrict our deliberations to the proceedings within the assembly. I'm not saying you're using foul language, but I'm just saying that let us restrict our deliberations within the chambers. What is happening here? Yes, thank you.
Madam Speaker, what I've seen, it all gears to democratization. People are at their liberty, Madam Speaker. This has not been happening. So this transition is different. It has never been attempted as have the First, Second, and Third Republic in the National Assembly. I have never, what I have observed today, this is why I say it's part of the foundation. That has ever happened in this country. So I will definitely say bravo to the Coalition 2016, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, going further, I will thank the FPAC, Madam Speaker, for the good job that they have done. For the past 2 days, intensive scrutiny on this document until at least they were able to bring something forward that we can look at. I have said it here, Madam Speaker, in March session, after December budget session in March, I told the Honorable Minister here, Finance, I said, Honorable Minister, you don't put your house in order, you make a pronouncement. Then the members of this National Assembly, we are not all that experienced when you come to in terms of scrutinizing the budget. The budget was given. I would lend my voice to Honorable Member for Serekunda. He do. I'll confirm. He has said it here, but at that time, you know, people were not adhere to what he was saying. That's what is happening to me today. And myself, I confronted the minister here. I said, since December, the budget speech, up to December, January, February, March, almost 3 months, 4 months now, Honorable Minister, what you have said here, what you have said in your budget speech, and what is in the budget, Gambian people have not realized anything, and time is going. This is a transitional government. Once you utter something, your laws, whatever you said here, is a law. Up to today, our hands are tangled. When you come in terms of price of essential commodities, these are some of the things. But however, I'm so happy with this transitional government, with the Minister of Finance, what they have done to. We have a new minister. He could have kept quiet. Whatever comes tomorrow, even though he's going to blame. But he wants transparency. Now the bill is brought to us here. It is our duty to agree and disagree. But we also have to be very mindful, as what the member for Janjambure has said. When the request came, Farababanta, justice here, we all were here. At the same time, too, I support member for Serakunda. He alarmed where the phone is coming from. But yet still, this August House endorsed it. Can two wrongs be right? Two wrongs cannot make a point. If the finance is wrong, but we the lawmaker, we the authority, we accepted it. Today, what can we say? Today, what can we say now? We are completely, totally understand. Tangled ourselves, we have tangled ourselves now. We cannot say anything, Madam Speaker. Whatever goes wrong here, the members of this National Assembly are part and parcel of it. Let's face the truth. What we are saying today, we could have said it yesterday. Because we have areas from December in 2016. We were not blind. 2017, 2018 budget what brought us here. We endorsed everything. And some of the mistakes inside that budget, that's what is we are maneuvering now to see how we're going to solve it. It is our fault. If we said the finances had a mistake, we also deliberately endorse it. So we are all, if they are thief, we are thief. Yes, we are the authority to endorse, and we endorse it. They made their mistake. And we, the authorities, we knowing that they have made their mistake, we endorse it. What can we say? Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I beg to move.
Thank you very much. May I call on the Honorable Member for Foni Jarol to take the last intervention. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. First of all, I have to start with thanking the members for congratulating the FPAC members for what they have come up with. Anyway, to start with, FPAC, we did what we think is right or what we think we can do. Parliamentary here is where we table everything out. Whosoever has whatever in you, we speak it out for the interest of the nation. The SAP, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill, has come at a very wrong time. I mean, it has never happened here. Speakers who have said, for years gone, it has never happened here for SSP to come at a very finishing point of the annual year. The budget is a one-year period, from 1st of January to 31st of, and we understood already that authorities or whatever is given to sectors to close their accounts. So my worry is, if we give a green light to this supplementary application bill, now where are you going to get these funds from when your accounts are closed? That's my doubt. And I know, as I said, it has never happened. And as we are all saying here, that maybe that's what some of you think, bad practice or practices should not happen. Now, if what has never happened is about to happen? Now, what are you going to say about that now? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. That is why I'm with my other colleagues who are saying no to the approval of this SAP. It is not in line to whatever, from wherever sources you are getting your laws that back the ASP, as the Supplementary Appropriation Bill. We all know no one can stop it. We don't have that power, but it has to be stopped when it is overdue or when it comes to a time when the law is a no. We are not above the law. We are all below under the law. So the law is saying from this time to this time, you cannot go beyond. So, Honorable Minister, I am very sorry. Your bill or your estimate has come at a very wrong time. And because of that, I cannot say I am in line with approving. I am totally against, okay, the approval or the approving of this ASP, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more interventions? I have exhausted my list, so I would like to call on the Vice Chair in case you want to respond to some issues raised before I call the Honorable Minister. Thank you.
I don't know what you want me to say. There is only one thing to which I will react, and that is the issue raised by the member for Nyamina East. You see, I could have done my presentation using only this. It's not that we didn't know where we cut, and it is precisely because that is not clear in this, I decided to use this. But I could have done the presentation only using this, and it would have been much simpler for me. But this was the report of FPAC, and I have to present it the way it is. And I use this to make it more explicit. But you see, I thank the member for Serakunda very much. Why? You see, when you have a problem and you know the answer, you don't pretend that you don't know the answer. And that's what precisely happened here yesterday. We could have solved this problem yesterday without any problem. You could have, because everybody knew what everybody is saying now. It's not that you didn't know, but you knew what you were going to do. And yet, knowing the answer, you want somebody else to go and look for the answer for you. That's what you did to us. And that is unfair. You don't laugh. It is unfair and it is unparliamentary. Absolutely unparliamentary. We could have dealt with the problem yesterday in minutes. You all knew that. But you pretended that you didn't know what to do. That's what makes it unparliamentary. And the member for Serakunda said, Section 112, we must always bear that in mind. Here when we speak, here when we do anything, we should always bear that in mind. 112, our conscience and the national interest. That should be fundamental to whatever we do here. The Section 112 and the national interest. Nothing else should matter to us here other than that. Even if the whole Banjul is there demonstrating, that is not our problem. Our problem is Section 112 and the national interest. Once we defend that, then we are what we are supposed to be. I have nothing else to add. All that you have raised are problems for the minister, not me. You all know where I am. I don't need to say that. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving us sugar-coated bullets. Don't laugh. When you pretend that you are thanking us, when you pretend that we have done something good, it's not true. That's not what you mean. It's sugar-coated bullet. I'm not impressed by that. I knew you were just laughing at us when we said it. But we know. You know who were in that. I don't need to give you their profiles. You know everybody. One of them has spoken. The other one also has spoken. So you know what the situation in the Public Accounts Committee itself. So next time, for purposes of efficiency and honesty, when you have matters like this, let's deal with it honestly, on the spot, and finish with it. Thank you very much.
I think those points are well taken. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, may I now call upon you to respond to some of the issues that have been raised by honorable members' concerns. Thank you.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. First of all, let me be very, very, very clear. Whatever happens, I am the Finance Minister, and I will take 100% responsibility of whatever happens. The blame, if anybody is to be blamed, it's me, because I have taken the decision to come to the National Assembly for transparency, to reveal to you exactly this is the reality on the ground. Whether we solve it today, or whether we solve it tomorrow, or whether we solve it the day after tomorrow, it will always come back to haunt us. Yes, the law allows us to roll over. And when I took over, I realized that some of these things have been rolling over and over and over. And in our mindset, I decided that why don't you arrest the situation? Why don't you just come up with the reality? You go to a doctor, and the doctor tells you you have malaria or you have cancer, or I will give you a paracetamol just to reduce the pain. But the disease is there. We have a problem unless and until we solve it. In reality, whether we do it today or next year, we are constrained economically. But what we are trying to put in place is fiscal discipline. I don't need to go back to the law for environment that the Minister of Finance is allowed to do the environment under Section 9 or the 29 of the Public Finance Act. And subsection 6, it says, I'm talking about the timing. Any expenditure discovered at the end of the financial year to constitute excess expenditure shall require approval of the National Assembly and shall be included in the supplementary appropriation. It is also true that under Section 32, it says any unpaid expenditure shall be paid from the appropriation of the next financial year. So we have to make a decision. Do we have to hide it and go up to next year? We hide it again, it goes up to next year. It's like you're cleaning your room, and all the dirt, you are putting it under the carpet and walking over the carpet, thinking that the carpet is clean. Whether there is dirt, whether you know that there is dirt under the carpet. So today, I am not sure whether there is any need to argue, but let me just share with you some of the things. In the Ministry of Health, the 8.8 that we are talking about, a laboratory co-funded by a donor, and the donor did their part. And it only takes 8.8 million out of our counterpart contribution to be able to make that health facility functional. So you have to make a decision. You are the lawmakers. Whatever you decide, we will take it with respect. But to say that we are not fiscally prudent, I don't think that is a very fair statement. We burn the midnight candle, and what we have come up with, it is a reality. What we are showing you, it's a reality. Instead of going through the law again, I just say that the National Assembly is responsible to ensure that the checks and balances are there. But even if we suspend it and go for the next fiscal year, it will still be there. And any minister coming, not taking the bull by the horn as what I'm doing now, it will always be there. It has to be solved. And also, it should be very clear, we have not spent anything outside the envelope that was approved here. Let me repeat, we have not spent anything outside the envelope. It's through environment we did it. And Honorable Speaker, I will
make it known to the Honorable House that you can even launch an investigation into this. We have not spent anything outside the budget. Whatever we were doing was within the envelope that this Honorable House has approved. These are the things that I think, in a nutshell, yes, like contribution to WHO, 10 million. What WHO is bringing into this country is hundreds of millions of dollars. So these are just token sums that they need. Environment, OMVG. We are part of the Gambia River Basin committees. Countries have paid. We have not paid because we had some problems. And now these are the areas that we're supposed to pay. Most of these things that we're talking about, education, for training, some of the payments that we are supposed to pay for the students, these are all in there. They are all in there. The police, their security, their mobility, all of these things are in there. But at the end of the day, if really the National Assembly decides that this bill will be rejected, the finance minister is taking full responsibility. I have a decision to make, either to come out and show you the reality of the day, or to keep quiet and bury it under the carpet and wait for next year. Speaker, I think in a nutshell, that's what I have to say. If there is any other thing that I need to answer to, I am here. But the bottom line is, we made a decision, either to bury it under the carpet or to come out. And we are coming out to tell you, this is the reality. The timing is not the issue. You approve a budget from 1st of January to 31st of December. There is nowhere that is telling us that by this month, yes, preferably you can even come to the National Assembly for SAP the first quarter. And that will be another trouble, because they are telling you, we've just approved for January, and you're coming in March to request for SAP. We just thought that it will be feasible and much more prudent to make sure we gather all the facts. What we are showing you today, yes, it's 2 weeks towards the end of the year, but we have a right legally to spend all the way to 31st of December. The environment we did it because we saw that we realized that it was important, especially when you talk about the commissions. It's about governance. We need to do something really to move these sort of things that everybody was crying for. So the reality is that we have done it. We are here to appeal to National Assembly members that it is important to start 2019 with a clean page, to ensure that whatever that has been rolling over the years cannot be rolled over next year. If we do, it is still there. It is still there. That is why we are here, to appeal to you, for you to reconsider, revisit this decision not to approve this. Yes, there is pressure. Yes, there are different opinions, but the Ministry of Finance, we are responsible, and we are telling you that this is the reality of the day. That's why we bring it to the National Assembly, to appeal to you that it is important to really revisit it and to approve it, for us to move forward to ensure that 2019 will start 2019 with a clean page. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and we also thank the Vice Chair of FPAC for the issue, the response he's given and his opinion on the report. It's an unusual procedure, so I'm not sure whether it's actually provided for, because it's the FPAC report that was tabled for consideration and approval by the whole House. So I think the proper procedure is for us to take a vote on the FPAC report. If it is agreed, fair enough. If not, then we can think of moving to the next stage. I stand to be corrected. Am I right? Yes, thank you very much. Then, if I may say that based on the report of the FPAC and the various interventions by honorable members, together, of course, with the response by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, may I now put this question. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do approve the supplementary estimates of expenditure 2018 as amended in the FPAC report. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the noes have it. In that case, the supplementary appropriation bill is hereby disapproved, i.e. rejected. Thank you very much. Yes, there's another item on the agenda, and that's the, that's the National Assembly. Just a second. Yes, that's the National Assembly Salaries and Pensions Amendment Bill 2018 to be tabled by the Honorable Minister. May I suggest that we suspend the sitting for a short break and then come back at 3 o'clock to take the second item so that we can finish early today, bearing in mind that tomorrow is the budget speech at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. So we stand suspended till 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Buying a plot can be easy, or maybe a tedious task sometimes, especially when you have so many real estate companies, agents, landowners, and even sometimes so-called landlords all calling to buy their properties. Getting the land is the easiest part, but owning the land with genuine documentation is the problem. We have seen unprecedented court cases of people going to court to settle land issues. If you're looking to buy a plot or a built home with no risk of stress, guys, look for the right real estate company. At EJ Investments, we don't just sell plots, we build communities, where any plot you buy from us comes with access to water, electricity, internal roads, and other social amenities. We guarantee you genuine contract documentations the moment you pay a deposit and a complete handover of your title deeds as soon as completing payment. We currently operate 3 projects in strategic locations, selling service plots and built homes in our estate 2 Jering Seafront, Sanyang Seaview Estate, and our Gunjur Seafour Coastal Highway Estate. Our plots are affordable. From only $90,000, you can own a home at our Gunjur Seafour Coastal Highway Estate. And from $200,000, you can own a home of your dream at our Sanyang Seaview and Lakeview Estate. Our 2 Jering Seafront Estate starts from $300,000. Plot sizes ranges from 20 by 20, 20 by 25, and 25 by 25. And we offer an option of 30% deposit and 2-year payment plans on our estates. A beautiful home with peaceful and happy neighborhood awaits you at our project 2 Jering Seafront Estate, Sanyang Seaview and Lakeview Estate and Gunjur Seafour Coastal Highway Estate. Call our office on 4464-838 or 302-1056, which is also on WhatsApp. Email us or visit our website on ejinvestments.net to learn more about our projects. EJ Investments, we're fast in property.